Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of 1000 Gurus with me, your host, JR Yona Cruz. So today's episode is a special random show with my good friend Julie Huynh. Julie has known JR since 2012, hey that's me, when they were teammates on KKAP, Konnect Kpop Aspiring Performers, UCI's K-pop dance team. Through their love of dance, Julie and JR have worked together on several gigs over the years. In present day, Julie is a full-time designer, UX and product by day, graphic and web by night. She previously taught beginner dance classes for kids and adults out of Fountain Valley and Garden Grove. In her free time, she likes to volunteer, work on creative projects, bake, and obviously talk to JR. So I've been waiting all season, or rather the last 2 seasons since I started this podcast, to do this special episode. While I always wanted the focus of the show to be on learning from other people and hearing their stories, I knew I eventually wanted to break up the routine once in a while to do a fun, casual show format with a good friend. Julie was clearly at the top of the list because over the years we've had so many long, intellectually deep chats that could last up to 7 or 8 hours sometimes. Needless to say, our legendary conversations were part of the inspiration I had for this show. We also decided to make it a bit more fun by drinking some eggnog liquor and just alternate between the two of us bringing up random topics and discussing it. Some of the topics we talk about are K-pop and idol culture, our dance inspirations, unique foods, how we've changed over the last 10 years, navigating dating, and the science of attraction. Please excuse me in advance as I really go off on a lot of tangents and rants from my own perspective and experience, but hopefully nobody gets too offended by my hot takes. I don't mean it personally, and hopefully after these 20 episodes, my audience can listen with an open mind and really try to understand the points that I'm making without too much judgment, you know? It's not too serious, these are just kind of my own hot takes. So without further ado, hope you guys really enjoy this episode, this random show episode, number 20, with my good friend Julie Huynh. Alright, hello and welcome back to 1000 Gurus. So today is a special episode, but joining me is my good friend Julie Huynh. Yay, applause. Thank you guys for the studio audience reaction. So today we're recording episode number 20, so episode 10 of season 2, episode 20, whatnot, and it's going to be a random show. So instead of our typical interview format where I bring on a guest, I have a close friend of mine who we have legendary, very long conversations about various things. So I figured this would be a good opportunity to invite someone who I enjoy having long conversations with, and we can just talk about whatever topics that we want. And we also have some special eggnog liquor for those listening. You can't see it, but it's from Trader Joe's. It's like a white, milky, creamy sort of liquid, but it's alcoholic. What is it, 14.75% alcohol?
That's much higher than
that's why I have shot cups. So yeah, if you can't see it, if you're not video, we'll be drinking this. And yeah, let me just go into how I know Julie, as usual, really quick. So Julie and I go way back. We were co-chords for KKAP in 2010, 2011-ish.
Yes.
Yeah, 2010, 2011 at UCI. You were one of the small handful of people that we talk a lot, hours at a time. We're both into K-pop, obviously, and dance. We catch up at least once a year, sometimes even more than that. I really appreciate your introspective nature and how thoughtful and intellectually curious you are. And you're also ambitious, passionate, goal-oriented, all that other stuff. And very open-minded, which I think is why it's always nice to have conversations with you. Because I don't want to say we think similarly, but I think we're both open-minded to hear about our different perspectives. And we talk about everything from dance, movies, careers, relationships, goals, society, politics, everything, right? Anything you want to add to that?
No.
Yeah, just that? Okay.
Yeah.
I would say, so before we get into our first topic, let us take a little drink of this because I'm kind of excited to try it. Yeah. You ready?
Okay.
Cheers. Cheers to
your 20th episode.
Yes, 20th episode. Thank you.
Are you downing the whole thing?
I'm just sipping it.
Oh, okay.
Unless you want to shoot back 14%.
It is quite nice.
Yeah, right? It's really good.
Wow.
It's milky, like an eggnog, but
sweet.
Sweet. As alcohol does, burns your throat, but
this
I'm just
one
kidding.
doesn't.
Yeah,
For 14%, it doesn't.
You know what's funny? I always say that I'm lightweight, but I've been drinking a lot recently because of
parties.
Parties, but I also drink a lot less. But we'll go to AMC, right? And there's the specialty drinks that they have, and I'm a sucker for novelty stuff. So, for example, they had Wicked drinks, so one Alphaba one Glinda one. Gladiator has its own drink. And then there's these special winter ones, this rum, yum rum. And it's just rum, Coke, whiskey with marshmallows on top. And I'm I want to try it. And so now I've been spending money on overpriced AMC drinks.
Wow.
And not because I like alcohol, but I just want to try.
That's really cool. I
Yeah,
didn't know
they have
that
some
was your weakness.
That was my weakness, is novelty things. If you give me a promo or novelty stuff, like I'm all over it.
Okay, that makes sense. The promo, I understand.
Yeah. So, all right. Do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first? Topic?
Okay.
Did I explain the topics already?
No.
Or sorry, not topics, but the format. So, okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back and forth. So we'll start with one of us and I'll bring out a topic and we'll just kind of go back and forth and our thoughts on that. Kind of, what normal like friend podcasts are like. So we'll start with one of us, and then after we finish that, we'll go throw it over the fence, and someone else will ask a question, and they like vary a lot. So we kind of have a brainstorm list.
Okay. Cool.
You got one?
Yeah. Well, since we met through dance, let's start off with a dance-related question. I'm curious nowadays, since your dance career has been so long, in present day, who or what are your dance inspirations?
Who or what are my dance inspirations?
Yeah. So it doesn't have to be a person. It could be a concept as well.
Oh, I see.
What's inspiring you these days?
What's inspiring me? What's funny is I want to say, I want to confidently say I'm not inspired by dance.
Nice. Oh, cross
Yeah.
multiple, whatever. Anyway, you go ahead.
Yeah, no, because so I dance regularly on a team, but my purpose isn't for dance. It's for the friendship, the connection, the experience of being with people and in a collaborative environment. And as a leader on the team, I'm focused on helping create a good experience for them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the reason why I'm there is devoid of my own dance sort of inspiration, which is, I don't want to say it's sad, but I don't dance for me necessarily. Yeah, there are routines I'm like, oh, that's a cool routine. Rise is a fun group. I like their choreography, but I'm not inspired that this is why I'm here. I'm here for my team.
Yeah.
But that's why one of the things I wanted to get back into is freestyle dance, because a lot of my dance inspirations are freestylers. And I haven't done freestyle dance in a long time, but that's what energizes me, lights me up. If I joined like a popping team or something like that, and I we sessioned every week, that's when I'd be like creatively inspired. But going back to that, I'm inspired by people like Mike Song when I was in high school, Jabberwockies, Kinjas, or Cobble Modern. Obviously, like I had Arnell on last night, or the episode that's coming out right after this episode. And so I talk about he's my dance inspiration.
Yeah.
But since then, not really a lot of dance things inspire me. But that's just where it's at. And I'm fine with that.
I like that. That's a different spin, an unexpected question or unexpected answer to that type of question.
Right. How about you? Do you have any dance inspirations or what inspires you?
Not lately, just because I haven't been in that space for a really long time. Back then I used to watch a lot of videos and respect certain people, things like that, try to emulate whatever it is they're giving off. But these days, I haven't had a lot of bandwidth to explore that. I really also don't have an answer.
Just basically, your question is like, all right, what is your dance inspiration? Neither of us have any inspiration. We are uninspired dancers.
But maybe it'll come up in 30 minutes or something. But
yeah.
Right now, nothing top of mind.
Yeah. I mean, I like back in the day, so aside from Mike Song, Bionic Man, John Biani, he's from the Bay Area. He's a popper. He's Filipino. He was a world champion in popping or freestyle dance years ago when he was 18 or something crazy like that, right?
Yeah.
He's still active and he's a judge and he's not an OG necessarily, but he's right after that.
Yeah.
But anyways, he was always one of my biggest inspirations because his style is very foundational, but also he still is very dynamic and he does martial arts too, and he's toured with that Michael Jackson's maybe Cirque du Soleil. It was one of those sort of performance things where they went around the world. Anyways, he's very amazing. He's one of if I were to put it at the top of my list of my dance inspirations since high school, it'd be Bionic Man, John Biani. He's still around too, but I don't really follow him much, but him and Mike Song are the top 1 and 2, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, true. I remember there was I'd say a litany of people that I definitely respected back then too. But I don't think I need to drop names or anything right now. Yeah. But I know in terms of just umbrella, I always was very attracted to dancer types that were very athletic in the way that they perform. And I think they probably work out and condition a lot in order to be able to show that in their dancing. So that's definitely the level I would aspire to be. But it probably is a lot of hard work, constant conditioning outside of dancing too. But I always love Lyle Beniga. Always.
That was good. Where you at? Right? He was in there.
But there was also another. Well,
Johnny Bristow and Lyle Beniga, I think.
Okay.
But Taeyong?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, some too.
There's so many. I know Well, I'm not even going to try to guess, but
You're like, they're out there.
It's out there. But you mentioned earlier about interest in joining a popping team. Any reason why it hasn't happened yet? Is there like a blocker?
That's a great question. I think it's more just not prioritized. It's been on my, if you're looking at, I have these yearly summaries I do, right? Year in review of the whole year. It's been on my goal list to freestyle more for the last 3-4 years. Yeah. But I think I've just been so bogged down with my other priorities dance wise. And then I'm trying to do, start this podcast and my relationship coaching and everything else, my actual relationship content creating. So I think it's just been so low on the list that it's just adding a new thing to my routine. And I don't want to not have that slack in my life. So that's just the excuse I'm giving myself. I think I also, there's not one easily available. I have to go look for one.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm like, the activation energy of trying to look for a group that's doing that, I'm sure they're out there.
Yeah.
And then dedicating that time in a new space and cultivating that relationship or that network. I'm like, I got stuff to do anyways. I don't need to jump on it now.
Okay.
So yeah.
Do you think it's going to happen eventually?
I think if I for sure, once I leave choreos and I'm done with that and I now have a big gap in my dancing, then I can like, all right, well, what do I fill this with? Obviously not more K-pop. I don't need to do that. So probably freestyle dance.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah. Wow. The next chapter, whenever it may happen.
Yeah, exactly a year and a half from now is when my lease on choreos is done.
Wow. There's a fine affinity.
Yeah, it is. Cause like I'm trying to set the record for being on the team the longest. Right now, the record is 6.8 years, and I'm at a solid 6 years as of this month.
Oh, wow.
So I got one more full era to do.
Okay.
But I'll be ending at 7.5.
Wow. Yeah. I'm curious if anyone is going to try to beat you in the future.
If anyone tries to beat me, they're crazy. Because who would stay on a dance team for more than 7 years? Like, the three of us that have done it, like, there are 3 people who are more, like, have stayed on choreos longer than I have. And they're just, like, super outliers.
Okay.
And so I don't think anyone's crazy as us 4 to do that.
Sounds like an invitation to a challenge.
If you can do that and you can contribute to the team, then all good, because it takes a lot out of you to stay on a college team, especially at our age.
Oh, yeah.
It's really hard.
That is definitely twice. It's like going to college twice.
Exactly.
For your college, yes.
Yeah, so I always tell people, like, I'm about to get my PhD in choreos because that's a good almost 8 years.
Yeah. That's really actually pretty amusing to think about.
Yeah. It has its own challenges and pitfalls.
Yeah.
Do you want a topic on my end?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Let me ask you a question in terms of, we can talk about either K-pop or relationships or people or career.
Ooh, let's start easy. I don't know if it's going to be, I'm just assuming. Let's do K-pop. Let's see how that goes.
You're going to hit the hot button here. Okay, so this one, It's not actually easy. This is called idol culture, K-pop putting wrong values on a pedestal. This is a very hot take.
Okay.
Being on a K-pop team and surrounded by people who love K-pop.
Oh, no.
I don't know how to introduce this topic or this question, but one thing that bothers me a lot about people who like K-pop, and speaking from someone who likes K-pop, is they put this sort of idol, like the idol culture, they put them on a pedestal. Okay. And they will sell their soul and arm and a leg to go to these concerts. And they're like, oh my God, this person's so amazing. And they're such good dancers. And it's like, they're famous. So it's idol culture, like with celebrities too, right? But it's just specifically K-pop idols. And what bothers me is like, people will go crazy over these human beings, but I'm like, they're normal. Their job is part of it is being famous. And they aren't actually more talented than other people. There are singers that are 10 times more talented, dancers that are 10 times more talented. They just happen to be famous because now they're in a company that promoted them, and all this people who write their songs and produce their music. They're just a part of this machine, and not downplaying their hard work, obviously, and they probably have natural genetic talent, whatever. But what bothers me is that people are like, they'll do anything to see these people. And I'm like, you can appreciate the art, but not put the artist on a pedestal.
Yeah.
Because they're just humans. And so I have a controversial take because I'm like, I could care less if someone walks down the street and they're like an idol from, let's say, BTS, whatever, right? Yeah. I'll be like, oh, what's up, J-Hope? How are you? Whatever. But they'll cry, scream, break down. And on the other side, I get that maybe their artistry has impacted you, so you're emotionally, but I'm like, they're a regular human. Yeah. And when you see like celebrities in the street or a movie star, they're still a human being. Yeah. So for me, I have this weird, people are like, wow, you could just treat someone normally like that? But yeah, because they're human. So it bothers me that we're putting the wrong values on a pedestal because this is just their job. Their job is to be famous and to do good work, but they're not better than anyone. Yeah. They're not better than you. They just train harder. And the reason why they're good at dancing is because that's literally their job. Yeah. If you put 8 hours a day into dancing and singing and looking good and learning how to interview and PR, then of course you'd be that good, but you're not, because that's not your job. Yeah. Anyways, that was if you have any thoughts on that, you can completely disagree with me.
No.
I'm not saying I'm right. That's just my perspective.
Okay. But the question is just my hot take on it.
Right? Yeah, I would say that, because the hot button for me is more like, I don't think we should be putting idols on a pedestal. I think we should just appreciate their artistry and their hard work and maybe aspire to work hard like them, but not treat them like they're gods.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you had thoughts on that.
Well, I do agree with what you are saying. I think it's difficult to achieve for a lot of people, though. But going backwards a little bit, I think it's in the name itself, though. They're called idols, so it is meant to be that way. That's just...
You're saying it's by design.
Yeah,
they're meant to be worshipped as like these...
Yeah. Yeah, it's like just their persona, everything that they have to represent, it's definitely manufactured so that you do worship them. So they are doing their jobs.
No, okay, so now the impetus isn't on them for doing the wrong thing. It's for the people who worship them.
Yes.
Right? It's, do you not have... Okay, again, this is all accusatory. It's like, why do you worship and worry about these people's lives and what they're doing on these variety shows and all their little like things when you have your own life? And are you like doing something that is improving your life or the people around you, or something that actually gives you value or like contributes to the earth, rather than focusing on watching everything this idol puts out? And is like that really healthy for you? So that's the more downstream thought process for me. Is it is not healthy to worship idols, because you have so much other things you could be focusing on. And maybe I'm not trying to be on my high horse and everything like that, right? Like I'm trying not, but it just bothers me that it's like, you see that, but then you see some of my friends and, oh my God, you're so slay and you're amazing, because they're trying to emulate this sort of aesthetic thing that shouldn't be put on a pedestal. It's like, oh my God, you're just so pretty. And that's another sort of thing. But it's like, you're only really getting this attention because of something that's like a superficial thing. And you can go deeper into that, which is like, sure, superficial parts of this, of our nature is, we want to be around attractive people, whatever. But I'm saying, like, if you're putting aesthetics on a pedestal and that's your primary value or one of your top values, like, how does that make you feel as a person when you're not good enough, when you're not pretty enough? Because all these idols are manufactured gorgeous, but you are not. And then we're also hyping up our friends because they just look good, but not because they're good people or they're hardworking or they have good values or they have, morals, but because they are aesthetic. Because we're putting the idols on a pedestal, and therefore we put our friends who are good looking on a pedestal. Yeah. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's like I feel like it's a negative cycle of things we shouldn't be doing.
The part about connecting to our friends and prioritizing that aesthetic is a new avenue. So maybe we can talk about it some more. But the part that you initially brought up about, what was it? The infatuation. That's why I think psychologically that is really difficult. That's why I said I think it's difficult to extricate yourself from that, because it's so addictive when you see beauty in motion and you're like, wow, they're capable of looking like this, moving like this. And before you know it, you're just 7 days in and you watched all of their shows. And I think sometimes, not saying that people who do this have a void to fill, but I think it's very addictive because it's just so satisfying. Like all the dopamine is going, endorphins, all of that is happening. You're just like, wow, that was great to hear. They seem like such a good person. For me, I remember when I was in college, maybe late high school, I was also addicted as well to 2 p.m., by the way. But
coming off of Julie had a birthday recently and it was 2 p.m. themed.
Yes.
So now I'm like listening with that lens of, look, 2 p.m. is great though. I'm like, I don't disagree. Yeah. I like 2 p.m. too.
Yeah. And the thing is, so I'm trying to pull from my experience back then is, why was I so addicted? And it wasn't because I thought they were just so hot. I just couldn't bear to live without seeing them or something. I think it was, with entertainment, they do a good job at engaging with you. So, I think all the normal factors are there. But now as an older adult looking back, I think it's because of the not being aware of the separation, because now I'm able to step away from it and not feel anything because I recognize that that's just a persona. Back then, I never even thought about that these people have their own personalities outside of it. It's the same with actors and celebrities. So nowadays, when I really enjoy something that an actress puts out, it's really hard nowadays too, because people are getting canceled all over the place because of things they do in their private life. Yeah. And I'm like, well, does that mean I have to stop listening to their music because now their real life has mixed in with their acting
professional,
or
like the persona that they put out there?
Yeah. So nowadays, when I think back on, my addiction to K-pop idols back then, I realize I'm like, yeah, I mean, that was just acting in a way. Like they have to act that way. And so now I think the moment you just you become aware that this is not who they really are, that they make mistakes, they actually date people.
Like they are human.
And they say awful things, possibly, have pimples, all that. I think that's when,
have pimples? What?
That's when the facade completely breaks and you're like, oh, okay, I'm sober now. Yeah. But when you're just riding that high, it's really fun. And I think that makes it really hard when you have a fan base and you have people to hype yourself up and you're like, yeah, isn't, Junho so amazing, So I think all that is driving that addiction too. So it's hard. I've seen Korean variety shows where they would talk about their loved one being so addicted to it that they would not neglect their children. They'd be like spending their savings to go see K-pop stars and stuff. So in those cases, maybe there is a void that like they're unhappy. Maybe, I don't know. There's something psychological there. But I do know, I think because K-pop is designed to bring so much joy to people that it could be really hard to extricate yourself from that.
Right. So you're saying like, okay, it's as an environment, as a system, it is hard to escape from.
Yeah. Because you're supposed to be obsessed.
Yeah, like it's designed, it's engineered to make you obsessed, and then money, right?
That's yes, exactly.
They want to make money off of you. So
yeah, but I think as people get older, they're supposed to be able to recognize that.
Hopefully. Yeah, I mean, I would say if there were only young K-pop like concert goers, and all these people who would blow up an orphanage to see their favorite idol, right? Like that sort of like level of like dedication. I'm like, they're normal people, right? Appreciate their artistry, of course, but they are not the best at what they do, and what you see could be manufactured, like you said. So I guess my point is there are better places to spend your energy and effort that will not only like degrade, I don't know, your self-worth by putting the wrong values on a pedestal, but also you have a lot of life is long, but it's also short. So like you could be spending your time doing something that actually makes you happy, makes you fulfilled, building relationships, things that actually give you fulfillment, and not you just see an idol and put that facade on a pedestal is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's better things you could be doing. But again, no, I know that's a personal perspective and
less glamorous, that's for sure.
Well, of course, yeah, it's less glamorous. I'm just saying with the epidemic of depression and suicides and not feeling worthy enough.
Yes, correct.
I'm saying like the entertainment and the capitalism of that puts those things on a pedestal that make you feed into it so that they can take your money is part of the problem. But also if you can realize and see that, because I found like even with social media, like the longer I'm on social media, the more I see the values being put on a pedestal. Instagram is really clear with what they're putting on a pedestal is aesthetics. It's just looks. Yes. And that will destroy most of society's sort of like conception of their self-worth.
Yeah. And that's, I think, answers your question about friends who value like you look great, blah, blah, blah. And I think it really comes from our cultural shift. With the social media and everything too. I mean, yeah, back then there was like books and magazines specifically, but now it's just rapid, super exponential. So, I have faith that there's some awareness combating it, but I mean, I don't know, as long as information is traveling the way it is, I think it's always going to be like a fight back and forth. Yeah. And then for me, my solution nowadays is just to distance myself from it because if I just get lost in it, then I think you're allowing it to warp yourself. Can't help it. It's just the way the people are moving.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's why I've said this before, but my princess dream, and a princess dream is like, if you could, like magic lamp, like genie sort of thing, is to be a monk and disconnect from all social media.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love that so much. Not have to worry about seeing, other people are up to you and putting stuff on a pedestal and trying to show off my life and to get likes or views. If I could just disconnect and just focus on my own inner peace and just like serving others, that'd be so nice. But not right now.
But I think that's the core of it, right? Is being able to disconnect and self-reflect. And I think I've definitely heard mentors tell me that society does not allow us to do that. So it's just getting caught up.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have another topic? Unless you have any other thoughts on that. Do you have any other thoughts? Unless you have another topic.
I did, but I forgot it. Let's see.
Don't mind me while I sip on this eggnog. It's pretty good.
Sure. Okay, here's a random one. What's something that you love to eat that people make fun of you for?
Ugh, that's a good one. Do you have an answer?
Yeah,
While I think
beets.
about
I love
Juju
beets so
beets.
much. Yeah, actually, yes. Yeah, I do love
Start
beets.
your own beet company, Juju Beets.
BEET, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yes, I love beets. And I think goat cheese is not a very popular
Oh, the greatest of all time
thing
cheese.
too.
Yeah.
But the combo of that with beets is pretty good.
I will put that on my list to try, actually. I'm intrigued.
In a salad. It's usually how it goes together. It's because Mendocino Farms has, and they used to call it Save Drake Farm salad? Yeah, but they don't call it that anymore. But there's beets, and then there's goat cheese, like a whole like thing in there. So I think it grosses out most people when I tell them about it. But it's the best. And I like there's this Vietnamese beet soup as well. It has like pork ribs, carrots, potatoes, and the rest is beets. So the whole soup is just bright red.
Okay, I was about to ask, what's the color?
Oh yeah,
bright red.
it's like dark, bright red.
I'm not against beets. I just never had a reason to really get into it. If it's in a salad, I'm like, I'll eat it. But, but yeah, but nothing. But so is that it? Just beets?
Yeah.
I don't think I have anything that people would make fun of me for. I generally like most things. But I might like some things more than other people do. For example, maybe let's say pumpkin pie. I don't think everyone does.
You like pumpkin pie?
I love pumpkin pie.
Let's talk about that.
I mean, but I don't think that's crazy because I also know other people who also like pumpkin pie. And some people don't, and that's totally fine.
Okay.
But something that Blessy, she's in the other studio, but something that she likes that I make fun of her incessantly about is coffee over rice. That's like a Filipino thing in certain areas or certain cultures. So I think half of my family does that, but like Blessy does that, and then sometimes we make fun of her. I'm like, ugh, coffee on rice, but it's a real thing.
What is it? How does it work?
It's like hot coffee, right? And then just plain white rice, and you just pour the coffee on the rice, and you eat it.
Whoa!
Yeah, that's it.
How did it? How did it first come to be?
I don't know. It's just crazy people just thought of it. Crazy people, aka Filipinos. No, but like when we got on TikTok, people were like, "Oh yeah, I do this." People were like, "Ew, that's gross." So there actually are a lot of people that eat it. Oh, same thing. Balut, like fermented duck egg. Yeah. My family eats it. And I always thought it was normal. But I went to college and half the Filipinos I know don't eat balut.
Really?
So maybe that is one thing. And I just thought it was normal. And to be fair, I don't really eat the fetus thing.
Me neither.
I eat just the yolk, right? There, the yellow part, whatever. And then with salt and then the juice, you just kind of slurp it up. It's good. So I guess that would be the one thing. But it's not like I eat it often.
Yeah, same. It's just so out of the way.
Yeah.
So...
Is that a Vietnamese thing, balut, or you just tried it just for the sake of it?
It is a Vietnamese thing too.
Okay.
I actually didn't know that Filipinos ate it as well.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know anyone else ate it besides because it was like on Fear Factor 30 years ago, and then people were like, "Oh my god, they have Filipino food on Fear Factor!" Yeah. Oh my god, Joe Rogan, and then we're like, Filipinos eat this all the time, so I always thought it was normal, but I guess it was just my side of the family falls on that side of the tracks of Filipinos. All right, one of them is I feel like half of these are just like things that either annoy me or they're just hot takes about people.
This is the best.
I don't want to be that guy who just like, so
you're outing yourself.
I know I'm outing myself. Don't listen to this episode. Listen to the other 19 episodes so you can keep your facade of how you see me as this person. Right? Okay, let's say, how about relationships or people or dating.
Let's do dating.
Okay. Well, this one, you saw this one, but it was like relationships, how to manage, navigating dating. I think the impetus for this topic is I talked to a friend recently and he was saying I was like, how's your love life? And he goes, it sucks. I was like, and he's single and he's dating, right? And he said that there was this girl who ghosted him recently. They had 5 dates and everything. Yeah. And he's just like, I don't know why. And I think I'm fortunate enough to not be in the shit show that is the dating scene. But, my heart goes out to all you guys trying to navigate that. But I think it's difficult because, like, in this day, I guess maybe my question is, what are your thoughts on the dating scene? Both of us are in relationships, but
it seems difficult.
Yeah.
So I just think because of with the onslaught of technology and already even like 5 to 8 years ago, the new psychology behind dating apps that it bred was already kicking off. So I can't even imagine post-pandemic what it must be like. Yeah.
Well, now I want to throw in my joke I told you earlier. So earlier today, we had a Christmas brunch thing, and my friend was like, yeah, dating apps. I read that there's a stat on Tinder that, 3 out of every 4 people on the app are guys and 1 out of every 4 are girls. So 75-25, right? Yeah. And I came up with a joke, and I was like smirking to myself because I couldn't keep in the laugh. And then I was like, they're like, just say it. I'm like, okay, here's the joke. Well, yeah, I feel like, yeah, on Tinder, I think I agree with that statistic because whenever I go on dates from Tinder, 3 out of 4 of them are guys. So I guess 3 out of 4 of them are, yeah, everyone face palmed, but they all laughed. My friend was like, I'm mad at myself that I laughed at that joke.
All right. Did anybody laugh?
Maybe my delivery sucked, but that was the joke. Blessy
Put
was
in
laughing.
The comments if you
Put
laughed.
in the, yeah, tell me if you laugh. Tell me if I should give up stand-up comedy. But Blessy was laughing at me, laughing at myself, not the joke. So that's
the best jokes though. The ones where you're just so
audience.
You're stupid.
I am definitely stupid. But yeah, so I think like it's tough because of communication.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's the availability of people, the facade of availability, right? Because it's not like there's a lot of good catches. Okay, sorry, hold on. Let me rephrase that. I'm not trying to throw people on the bus, but from what people have told me, right? It's like some people who are jaded by the dating experience are like, all the people who are good are taken, married, whatever, and like all you have are the leftovers on the app, right? And I'm not saying people who are on apps are leftovers. I'm just trying to like the feeling that people have, right?
Yeah.
So there are obviously good people out there, but when you have the kiddie pool that everyone pees in of Tinder and like ruins that sort of environment of now it's just very low level people who aren't really looking for deep quality relationships, it gets tough.
Yeah.
And then because they think it's available, they can just jump at the first sign of, oh, I'm not feeling it, and just kind of eject out of that instead of trying to form a real relationship with someone and figure it out. I know there's a lot of nuance to that. I'm generalizing, right? But I know it can be tough. But I don't know if you have any thoughts.
You're saying that would be the mindset of every person in the kiddie pool.
Which is there's not a lot of good options.
The ejection part. That's what.
Well, I think it's part of the availability of people. So like you can get scared and like just give up altogether and be like, this person's genuinely good, but because they don't look like a 10 out of 10 K-pop idol, or they're not 6 feet and have 6 figures and all that, you know what I mean? Or for girls, it's one thing, or for guys, it's another thing.
Yeah.
And then you just, they don't check boxes A, B, C, and D, so therefore I'm just going to jump. And again, there's a lot of nuances. I'm not trying to say don't have standards, but I'm saying like, it's not like traditional dating where it's like you have to meet a person and looks can be one factor of it, but on an app, all you see are the looks first.
Yeah, and that's your priority.
Priority.
And sometimes, you're just not aware of it. It's just you can't help but it's just the way the presentation goes.
Yeah. And then I think some people take that sort of jaded mindset of, okay, they've been on so many dates and none of them worked out. And then now they're not bringing their best self to that other date. Yeah. And that person probably genuinely was like interested in trying to see where it goes. But then now you just, you drop the ball.
You're demoralized.
Exactly.
Sure. Honestly, I don't blame the people who are trying really hard to put their best foot forward and then getting very demotivated because after the first couple of dates and you're just like, oh, it's just not working out, or people are just really bad people.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what's a nice way to say this. You're just, of course it's going to cast it's going to change your lens of what's really out there. So my takeaway is it's chance and you just can't give up depending on how determined you are because, I guess it's just like applying for jobs.
Applying for dating.
Yeah. And the more, because back then when I was also dating as well, it was very bleak back then. Like even back then it was bleak. So, and over time, I think it was just chance. You just don't know who's going to crop up. And then maybe it's the right time. Maybe you were in the right mindset where you happen to be able to be yourself on that date, or that person maybe changed your mind. That is just, to me, just chance. However, destiny decided to make you show up that day. But honestly, I think it's pretty bleak. I'm pretty pessimistic about this one.
No, I mean, same. My question would be like, I'm going to give my 2 cents real quick, but then my question for you is, what are your thoughts on advice for people who are in the dating market, like to find their person? And so from that question, I'll say like my personal experience, I've never had a person that I've met through a dating app that like resulted in a long-term good quality relationship. And again, maybe it's just by chance I didn't happen upon good people.
Yeah.
But all of the people who I've dated who are quality, let's say matches relationships, or people who I knew in person or met in person through people or doing activities that I enjoyed. Even though I did when I was single for like periods of time where I would be like on dating apps. So just for me personally, it's never panned out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like my question
advice. Yeah. I mean, I think for me, when you asked that question, the first thing that hit my brain was to diversify your options, is not to put all your eggs into the dating app channel. We definitely still have to be trying to meet people in real life, because I think the culmination of you putting your efforts out there, I guess manifesting in a way. I don't know if manifesting works for some people, but in terms of just putting yourself out there in different ways, it really already sets you up for some kind of success. Maybe not short term, but in the long run. Like, you're going to happen upon it when you aren't really looking or expecting it. But I think when you focus all your energies into one pipeline and you're hoping things work out, I think mentally you're already in a really bad place mentally. Yeah, because then you feel this sense of urgency and you're like, why isn't it happening yet? Why is everyone like XYZ? But I think when you're just distracting yourself and trying a bunch of different things, then you're so focused on that when something does happen, you're like, whoa, where, how, and where?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it sounds very, what's the word? Romanticized.
Yeah.
But like I said, I like to compare things a lot to the job hunting landscape. I think they're so similar. Yeah.
Julie's either looking for a job or looking for a partner. Now, she's in a relationship, but you know what I mean? That's the mindset.
But I think it's honestly very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. It's your turn for a topic, but now I have a few thoughts on that, because it's like on the topic of like romantic, right? Like I learned, so I have another definition for romance or romantic, and I learned it from a dieting fitness book.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyways, that's another sort of I feel like we've talked about this before, but what's your question?
I don't have one. Let's talk about what you were thinking.
Whoa. But it's your turn.
Oh, okay. Okay. What are some things about present day JR that previous JR, whatever version or what do they call it in the Avengers? What are they called?
Timeline version?
Well, the previous versions of you wouldn't believe.
What about the current me that my past self wouldn't believe?
Yeah, if your past self saw you now, they'd be like, wow, I can't believe you are like.
That's really hard. As someone who self-reflects constantly, I can't even think of a good question, because looking back, I romanticize the idea that I'm still the same person I was a long time ago. I was reading an old journal entry of mine from like when I was 13. Okay. And it's so very spazzy, ADD, like quirky. And I laughed at all of his jokes. I'm like, this is funny. This kid is hella funny. My 13-year-old self. So I feel like we vibe, you know?
That's so wholesome.
And so my thought on that is, I feel like I haven't changed much. Like when I went to my high school reunion like years back, our 10-year, and people were like, man, Jared, like you really haven't changed, but not in a bad way. Like meaning like you're the same person. But obviously we're all older, more experienced, and more quote unquote wise. But I appreciated that sort of feedback from people that I'm still the same person. Like my same stupid jokes, same mindset.
True. I'm trying to think about the you that I knew in 2012. And you're right. You are actually
consistency. We love it.
Yeah. You're just obviously more successful as time passes.
I would hope so. I won't label myself as successful, but I feel like I'm at least doing things that I feel like I want to do, which it's my definition. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I can answer it. I mean, I could say, oh, I'm surprised I'm doing all these things, but maybe my past self either didn't care, or I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I always wanted to do stand-up comedy, or podcast, that makes sense. You've always liked learning and teaching, or whatever. Yeah. Or dancing. I've always liked, well, not always, but I've been dancing for a long time. So I don't know if I would surprise myself, is my thought.
When did you start dancing, and how did that?
I think it was like middle school. Okay. Where my sister danced first. And then I was watching music videos like Omarion and B2K. And I was like, oh, let me learn how to dance. And my sister's popular and I want friends, so let me learn how to dance too. And so now, 20 years later, I don't have friends, but I still dance. I can dance. That's a joke, but
really funny joke.
Thanks.
I couldn't even physically laugh out loud. That's how funny it was.
I don't have friends still, but like at least I can dance. But yeah, no, I tried to dance because I wanted friends. But yeah, music videos, and then just joining dance team and following my sister's footsteps, and also being Filipino is part of that, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's how I started. But it was cool because I was thinking about this yesterday. The feeling of dancing. Sorry, I was listening to a Trevor Noah and Simon Sinek podcast, like I mentioned. And what is the earliest childhood memory that you had that you felt really happy? Oh. And this isn't to answer that question, but I do remember at the my middle school dance, the feeling of I'm freestyling and people are like, wow, Jerry, you can dance. And I'm like, wow, this is the thing that's defining me. It makes me stand out. Yeah. And it felt really good to feel unique. And since middle school through high school, that was the thing that separated me from people, was like, I'm the dancer, because a lot of my other friends didn't dance. And so that make me feel special. And I think I lean into that a lot.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, I need to throw any of those topics or questions over to you. So things that surprise you, or how did you start dancing, or any of those.
Well, I was gonna ask you, do you think I've changed in the last 10 or so years that you've known me?
No,
I'm taking critical feedback.
Oh no, for sure. Julie's always open to critical feedback. No, I don't think so. I think you are generally the same.
No way.
Yeah, I don't like. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just my perspective. I think you're the same because we started dancing K-pop and you have the same sort of mindset mentality. I think the only difference is I know you've been through more stuff because we've talked.
Oh yeah, just a bunch of just random life.
Right, but I think temperament, I think mindset, I think like how you are as a person, I don't think it's changed.
Okay.
And I think I don't know what drastically changed people, like events that like make them like, wow, they used to be so happy and now they're all sad, or like they used to be like blah but now they're serious. I don't know.
Yeah.
But for me, I feel like you're very similar to before.
Okay. It's true. I think I must have asked someone that a long time ago, and they say, "Well, you look the same." And
you don't look much different. I mean, I know you're older, but
but past me, probably. Well, I'll say in my 20s, I was mostly stressed all the time and under a lot of pressure, and I don't think that past me would have thought that I would be less stressed in the future. So I think I've achieved a lot more freedom in certain things in the last, say, 4 to 5 years. So I feel happier. So I think the things that made me happier now, I don't think was possible before. Because I just, like for one thing, like I'm an only child. There's a lot of pressure, filial like things. And so I've been able to sort all of that out. And I didn't think I would be able to get to that point. Yeah, it was very stressful. So
what do you think helped you? Is it just intentional effort to sort those things out, or do you think something helped out with that, or advice mindsets?
Help, seeking help.
Oh, seeking like external help.
Yeah, okay. I guess I was fortunate that there were people like family members who were able to help me get out of places where I felt stuck. Like career, I remember when I was younger in college, I felt stuck in having to go with a certain career that was forced upon me. And, like personality wise, like I didn't grow up like with a rebellious nature. So it was not natural for me to say no or set boundaries. So I always felt like I needed to achieve this on my own. I needed to carry this out on my own. So seeking help was not something that I also turned to very easily. So the fact that I was fortunate that there were players around me who decided to intervene and essentially save me and said, no, like you shouldn't be doing that because we know what you really want. And so we're going to help you advocate for yourself. So, and that helped me later on, in terms of family stuff too. So, and so those are the things that made me kind of surprised. Like I never really thought that those things were possible for me because I thought that my life was already planned out for me and I was going to be stuck that way for the rest of my life. Let's see, what else did we ask? Oh, how I got started dancing. Also music videos, but not BTK, but NSYNC. Yes. Who is that choreographer that did Bye Bye Bye? He used to come with DVDs. Maybe Sean, his name, nope, not Sean. But either way.
Sean, Michael, Anthony. I'm just throwing out names.
Yeah, there was DVDs back then where they would teach you the choreography to Bye Bye Bye.
And that was the choreographer.
Oh, yeah, it was his DVDs. And so I remembered trying to learn all the dances. And Jessica Simpson and probably Beyonce, their concerts were on TV all the time.
Darren Henson.
Oh, that's his name? Darren Henson?
So close. Close.
Like that's no
Sean, Darren, same thing. Was that the guy?
Darren, yeah.
Okay.
It's definitely him.
Nice.
Yes. I learned Bye 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 from him. And it's gonna be me. Yeah.
Nice.
So it was music videos as well. I wanted to be a backup dancer for stars, but then I saw that they wore midriffs, and I was like, my father would disown me.
You're like, that is a deal breaker.
Yeah,
sorry.
Can't do this.
Can't be a professional dancer.
Yeah, they got too many midriffs.
Yeah. Dang. So in an alternate universe, if we were able to wear midriffs, you could be a backup dancer.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. What was it? There was another question. There was a third one.
I don't remember.
Okay.
I'm very tipsy.
We can keep going.
So topics, either dating and or over investing. So basically the secrets of dating and attraction and romance. That's something I love talking about. Okay. Separate, romance, the definition of romance. Okay. And then third, conditional versus unconditional love.
Ooh, let's answer all of it.
Which one do we start with?
The one that you were really excited about.
Dating?
The other one. Secrets. No.
The secrets of dating and attraction.
That one.
Yeah.
That one.
Okay. So I can spend hours talking about this topic, but okay. So, people like, how do I start this? I learned this in the book, and maybe I'll link to it in the show notes. But, there's these books that I read that were made by Venusian artists, pickup artists, Venus Venusian artists. And a lot of it is very like shady, very scummy sort of principles, but the psychology and the social dynamics make a lot of sense.
Okay.
Meaning, I'm not trying to be like, what's that dude's name that's bald and he's like very like toxic men culture. Forgot his name. Anyways, but it's like very alpha males, right? But grain of salt, just listen to the psychology, which is there are 3 phases of dating. Whenever I talk about dating, it's like the attraction building phase, the comfort building stage, and the intimacy building phase. And when people try to jump straight into, let's say, stage 2, which is like comfort building, I want to be your friend, I'm going to be super nice to you. You skip the attraction building stage and then they don't feel anything for you and you're just a friend. Or if you start off as friends and then you try to revert to dating, they're like, wait, the status quo is that we're friends. So you have to build the attraction first when you first meet someone and build that relationship and not jump to comfort building. But if you also jump to intimacy building too fast, then you're just either friends with benefits, but they don't want to be your friend if you just jump from phase 1 to phase 3. Yeah. So that's one thing that people have to understand is like, you can't just date someone and just be nice. And I'm not saying not being nice is the bad thing, but I'm saying there's like an order to it that psychologically makes more sense to people. Okay. Because it's like, as much as you might love this person, you're like, they're great, but you're like, but I don't feel a chemistry or a spark. It's because they jumped past phase 1 into comfort building. And comfort building is like the things that friends do. Attraction building is different. So what attraction is how I conceptualized it from what I've learned is like it can be manufactured and it's mystery, anxiety, like things that make you question. And like, how do you fall in love with someone? It's not usually at one point in time, but it's over time is by thinking about them all the time is what do they think about me? And now you're thinking about what they're thinking about. And now you fall in love with them over time. And obsessed. Exactly. You're obsessed with them. And how do you make someone obsessed with you is not transparency. Because if you tell them everything on your mind, you show all your cards, they're like, I know what you're thinking. I know you like me. There's no mystery. I'm not going to think about you. Yeah. But if you're hot and cold, it's like the bad boy that people fall in love with, or the girl who's really out there and you're sure what they're thinking about. That's the person you're going to be thinking about all the time. Because you're like, how do they feel about me? They were warm and then they were cold and I'm on this emotional roller coaster. They give me anxiety, but then they make me feel good. But then they don't talk to me and they're talking to other people.
That's crazy.
Right. And so that mystery anxiety is what makes you obsess over them. And it's like that sort of one night stand feeling of, oh yeah, you want to sleep with this person because they switch all of these emotional triggers into you. Yeah. And that's how you build attraction. It's exciting, right? And so therefore my advice usually, or like how I approach it or how I tell people conceptualize it is like when you're dating someone, you're not trying to be an asshole, but you're not trying to be a goody two shoes nice person, quote unquote, because that's not going to build the attraction. It's going to be like being your authentic self, speaking your truth and being bold with your opinions but being respectful, obviously like with integrity, but knowing the social dynamics of what makes people think about you and how do you build attraction is confidence, not being needy. That's the biggest thing is when people are like very needy and needy, you can define that yourself, but it's like overinvestment in someone and saying, oh, you want to hang out? I'm so available for you. Yeah. As opposed to I'm busy because I have my own life and priorities and purpose, but I do like you and want to be with you. And so you're your authentic self, but you're not needy. You don't need them at all. Yeah. And I think that sort of mindset, mentality or stance will make you more attractive than someone who's so comfortable, so available, such a nice person, and they're just so bland. That person gets ghosted 10 times out of 10 or some sort of high percentage, right? Yeah. Like the person I was talking about earlier that like got ghosted, he's a very nice guy. I don't know how he does on the attraction building phase, but I know he's comfort building phase. He's really good. We also have a mutual friend of ours. I won't out them, but this person is also very good at the comfort building stage, but he doesn't build attraction. And then the girls just kind of lose interest in him. And I'm like, you're a nice guy, but you need to learn how to do phase 1, which is building that attraction, having that charisma. Yeah. And then you can go on the other phases. Yeah. Sorry, that's a very long tangent.
No, but I love it. Hearing you talk about it every time.
The other thing, there's another concept that's more people in relationships, which is I learned this from a book, Mating in Captivity by Esther Perel. Highly recommend it. It's a very good book. I think we've talked about this once or twice, but there's two petals in a relationship where I've fallen in this with an ex of mine where we had a lot of, we were together for a long time, but we fell out of it because there's two petals, right? There's comfort building, and then there's the erotic, which is the intimacy. And the erotic is the same thing as like the mystery, the attraction. That's how you have that spark, right? With some couples that go through all of this, they get to a point where it's like they don't have any love life in the bedroom, right? Or like they just feel, okay, we don't have any attraction, but we love each other deeply. But it's because they're not pushing on the pedal of the erotic building. And erotic building is created in space. Meaning if you're always with your partner, like every single second of the day, right? We talked about this, like every single second of the day, there's no space between you. You don't have different circle of friends. There's no space the erotic between you is the space. Yeah. So the more space you have with someone, the more eroticism there is. And with dating, that mystery person, you have a lot of space with them because you have no comfort with them. Yeah. So therefore there's a lot of eroticism between you and them. And that's why one night stands are easier. But with your partner that you've known so intimately, it's hard to build the erotic if you're always so together. Yeah. So her recommendation, and she's like a couples therapist and has been doing work for a long time. So I highly recommend her work, Mating Captivity, Esther Perel, Erotic Intelligence, is that you always have to have your own circle of friends, you have your own priorities, and you obviously come together and build that space, but you need to also build space between you two separated because then otherwise you're going to kill that part of it. But then you go back into the comfort building and you need to spend time together, be transparent, have those talks where you're comfortable with each other. But then let's say in the bedroom, like having more space and like having the erotic, building that, you need the two petals. Yeah. And so a lot of couples might, if you've been together for a long time, you might only be pushing one pedal of the comfort building, but not the erotic building. Yeah. I feel like that paradigm changed the way I see it as well. Cause I feel like that's very important for couples to know is like, if you're, you need to build the comfort, but also if you get to that phase where it's like you've been together for years, you need to also build the erotic in your relationship to keep it alive because it'll die. And as soon as you like stop having intimate moments in the bedroom, that's for me, like I've experienced that where it's like, that's when your relationship will start to die.
Yeah. And then you start becoming just friends.
Just friends. Exactly.
Yeah. Going back to the beginning when you were talking about those 3 stages, probably having to go in that order. Do you think that originates from just how humans have always just operated? Do you think
it's like nature, like natural or hard coding or whatever?
Yeah. Or do you think that it was man-made, that transition?
I want to say because it's psychology and social dynamics, I want to say it's like natural. Because if you think, okay, that book also, again, I don't really recommend the book, but you can read it for like knowledge, which was Mystery Method by Mystery. It is, like I said, those guys, by Mystery. It's a student. It's like his name. Mystery is his name, but he's a pickup artist in like the early 2000s or something like that. Okay. Again, a lot of that book is very scummy. And then the people in that sort of era are very scummy because they would pick up women and sleep with them and all this other stuff, right? Very
outdated and stuff.
Exactly. And so, but like the principles, like I can understand why they worked for them because they were successful in finding women in bars and sleeping with them, right? Yeah. So I think it's more nature because, the whole curiosity and again, building sort of that erotic and then going through those phases because people want to romanticize, I found my soulmate. But I'm like, a lot of people proved that you can manufacture all of these things. And being like a logical person myself, I'm like, okay, I vibe with that. I don't think it's just a magic in the air. Yeah. You just fall in love with someone. I think you can manufacture that because social dynamics is very, even though it is an art, can be a science too.
Yeah. What's the difference to you?
Love what? Like
the art versus the science.
Well, I mean, I think it's because like people are different, right? But then it's a science meaning like if someone can prove systematically they can pick up people and make them fall in love with them and sleep with them, then I feel like that is a science, right? Yeah. Look, I can show you the method. Yeah. It's called the mystery method.
Formulaic and
exactly,
not necessarily skill.
The great thing about it is that the end of the book, the writer, he was like a journalist. He went undercover for 2 years and he wrote a book called like The Game. That was the famous one. And then the second part of it was The Truth. And long story short, TLDR, the conclusion is being a pickup artist, no fulfillment at the end of that road. You will be very insecure. You have terrible relationships. So the second book was like him going full circle and being like, I had to work through myself in therapy and all this other stuff and realized that short-term chasing, being good at picking up women did not lead anywhere. And it left me feeling empty. And now building a relationship with my actual wife and, the relationship that he found gave him way more fulfillment because all the pickup, like you can learn how to pick up women and sleep with them all you want, but that's a dead end. And he says, no, it's actually loving yourself and building actual relationships and respecting people and like understanding that is the real like gold at the end of the pot of the gold end of the rainbow. So that's like the happy ending. Is I don't recommend anyone do that. And the author himself, who was a very good pickup artist, says too, he's like, don't do it. It's gratifying to think, I can figure out how to make people want to sleep with me. But he's like, no, don't do it. Trust. None of us are happy, is what he said.
Wow. Yeah. That is actually kind of a wholesome end to the story.
I'm glad it turned out that way. I'm glad he didn't end up happy and stuff.
While you were talking about that, it wanted me to hear your take on, have you heard the song Bad Habits by Usher?
I think so, if I hear it, probably.
Well,
it goes, bad habits. Just kidding.
Okay, so I think this is a very common theme in a lot of the R&B songs that I listen to, where you're already in a committed relationship, but you just can't help, but you have this bad habit where you want to keep looking and you have this side person that you rendezvous with. And even though you love your main person, it's just like a habit you can't kick. So Usher's song is just about how he loves his main person so much and he feels so terrible, but he just can't help wanting to buy a bag for this, other lady. I think that's what the song is. Maybe
She's just projecting. She's like, this is a great song, but
So I'm curious. There was something you said earlier that made me think, why? Oh yeah, because I was thinking about, he was saying pickup artists, there's just no fulfillment at the end. But I'm thinking about, well, what about the individuals where not only are they maybe doing it lifelong, or the ones where they just can't kick the habit? Like, where do you think that comes from, or why?
You mean like why people want to pick up people, or people want to
like? Why does Usher feel that way?
What does he feel?
Well, not him personally. I'm sure he's just
like, why do people feel that? I think it's just a sense of insecurity, right? They feel like they're not getting their needs met. So I don't disclose this, but I was insecure when I was younger, obviously, and I wanted to learn how to get girls to like me. Let me just throw that out there and be honest, right? And so I knew that me wanting to get good at getting people to like me was stemmed from insecurity.
Okay, true.
Because I didn't love myself enough, and I felt like I wasn't enough, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm glad to say that where I'm at now, I'm very secure, and I love myself, and I love the people around me who care about me. But back then, I wanted that gratification of people to say, "Oh my God, I really like you," and or specifically like people who I thought were pretty to like me back.
Yeah.
And I didn't even necessarily want to like them, but it was just because I was so insecure.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think maybe that's why I'm like so big into like relationships and stuff like that, because it's like that was like where I messed up. And now that knowing that's it's when you go to the dark side and learn the dark side, the power of the dark side, it's because you're missing something. And I feel like it stems from insecurity.
Is that different from needing validation to you?
No, I mean, I think that's it. Validation. Yeah. Okay. Because if you're not self-validated, if you don't not validated in your spirituality, in your family, in yourself, self-love, of course you're going to want it from other people. Yeah. And so when we crave that validation from others, it's because you're insecure.
Yeah.
Easier said than done, and we're all insecure, so I'm not trying to talk down on anyone. Let's just work on it and self-awareness,
Yeah.
Anything else? We're wrapping up on time.
Oh, I'm sure there's so much.
Yeah, there's so much. Well, obviously, episode 40. We can continue this.
We only have room for one more question? Or
sure,
we really
have
time?
One more question.
One more question? You want it to be like a serious one? Or?
Anything.
Okay.
Efficiently buzzed.
Okay. When you go to a new boba shop or tea shop, what's your thought process on choosing one? Like, how do you choose, this is what I'm going to order? What's your...
Because some people do go-tos. Like, this is my go-to. Some people are like, because what's a safe one? What's a go-to? What's the special here? The name is called XYZ Boba. Oh, let me try the XYZ Boba on the menu, right?
Yeah.
Like, I might default to that. Like, they're special. Or if they have a matcha latte or a strawberry matcha latte or just a regular fruit tea.
Okay.
I won't be disappointed because those are usually the same.
Okay.
But I also won't be surprised.
Okay. So those are your
safe. Those are my three safe ones, which is either the special, what they're known for, or matcha latte or a fruit tea.
Okay. But then I know you are someone who documents, and also you document your stats for a lot of things too. So in terms of patterns, do you find yourself going for safe more often, or you're always trying to try something new, but you think it's going to be great? Or I don't know.
Oh, no. I think like it's 80-20. Okay. I'm disappointed 80% of the time by new choices and 20% of the time they work out. Yeah. And then, so therefore, 80% of the time I'll choose my safe choices, and 20% of the time so it's an 80-20 rule both ways.
Okay.
That's what I feel like. And maybe I'm just pulling that on my ass.
Okay. But so 80% you are going with, I know this is going to make me happy.
Probably, yeah. What about you?
I always try new stuff, knowing that it was probably going to be disappointing. But the curiosity is so great that I'm like, I'm willing to just go for the herbal teach shabu broth. So instead of, what's probably recommended, like the house special. I'm like, forget the house special. Like, that's just going to be, what is it? Expected, right? So, yeah, I guess that just sums me up as a person, probably.
Nice.
Just seeking the unknown, no matter what happens.
Yeah, that's funny because I feel like my approach is also sums me up as a person too. I'm more like safe, risk mitigation. But on that topic too, I just mentioned before we started recording with like my AMC alcoholic drink addiction.
I think we started with that.
Did we start with that?
I don't know if it was on camera.
Yeah, if it was on camera. But like my weakness is novelty stuff. So if you tell me seasonal, if you tell me like limited time only, if you tell me it's a specialty for this thing,
okay.
I'll be like, okay, just take my money. I want to try this.
Okay.
I don't care if I like it or not. I want the novelty of it because the scarcity. I'm fear of loss.
That is hilarious.
Because like,
scarcity.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, well, it's gonna be away sometime soon, so let me just try it. And then it's even if it sucks, I'm like, I tried it. It sucked. Don't try it.
But at least
I want to know for myself. Yeah, exactly. That's why when people give good or bad movie reviews, I'm like, okay, it's probably bad, but I'm still gonna watch it. Same with good ones because I want to know for myself.
Okay.
Yeah. But again, I don't know if those are the same parallels, but for novelty stuff, I'm a sucker for. But for movies, I will still watch it if there's something that intrigues me about it. The actors, the director, or the concept, I'll still watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah, some people are like, oh my God, this big movie, people hate it. I'm like, well, I'm still going to watch it. People put a lot of effort into this big budget movie. Or it's a brand name or something that I know or an actor that I like.
Yeah.
Maybe it does suck, but I'm still going to watch it.
Yeah. Because you want to see.
I'll see for myself. Yeah. I don't trust people's reviews sometimes. People just overhype things.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Last words or thoughts?
No, just congratulations as always. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
That was really cool.
Yeah, and I like the eggnog. This was fun. I'm a little more buzzed than you, but I feel good. All right, we'll sign off then.
JR.
Thank you, Julie, so much for being here. I appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed this random show talk. If you guys are listening to us anywhere, comment, subscribe, please. I don't do a call to action usually, but I'll do it now since I'm kind of buzzed. But also, if you have any suggestions for topics, recommendations, group, like people you want to send my way, just DM me, message me, like the pages anywhere, comment. I'll see it. But yeah, recommendation for anything. What did you like about the episodes? What do you want to see more of, less of, stuff like that. So just let me know. All right. So thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate it. I'll do my regular sign out. So thank you guys for tuning in. A reminder to always be kind to yourself, others as well as yourself, especially. And know that you can always learn something from someone if you take the time to listen. So thank you guys for being here.